Hey there, Twisters, and welcome, hockey fans. Nick here, and today let's talk about the massive trade that just went down between the Carolina Hurricanes and the San Jose Sharks, as the Hurricanes have received Brent Burns. That is the big piece in this trade, and certainly we will dive into that. There are other assets that have been exchanged as well, but this certainly is a big move for both clubs. For the Hurricanes, they do replace Tony DeAngelo, who they traded to the Philadelphia Flyers, and they get a puck-moving veteran defenseman in Brent Burns, who can still get it done despite his defensive lapses, which are quite frequent. But nonetheless, Burns is certainly going to be a potentially huge defensive partner for Jacob Slavin to play with, and a monster defensive pairing they should certainly be for a couple of seasons. But before I dive into this, make sure, if you haven't already, hit that red subscribe button and join our growing community if you want more content throughout the NHL offseason. We do cover all 32 teams here. Okay, here are the terms of the trade. So Brent Burns, of course, 3 years remaining on his contract at $8 million annually. He does have a modified no-trade clause. The Sharks will retain 33% of Burns' salary, so I think that's for all 3 years. That would be at about $2.67 million annually, which certainly works a lot more favorably than a buyout, because that would have lasted 6 years and would have been a bigger cap hit, I believe. The Sharks also have dealt Lane Peterson, who did play quite a few NHL games for the team last season, but he's kind of a fringe NHL winger, bottom six kind of guy. So they do unload his $750,000 cap hit for next season. Now, for the Carolina Hurricanes, they have dealt the following. First of all, bottom six forward Steven Lorentz, a 26-year-old who played in 67 games with the Carolina Hurricanes last year. A2 Makiniemi, who is a goaltending prospect who recently appeared in the AHL for the Calder Cup winning Chicago Wolves. The Sharks also receive a 2023 conditional third-round pick, which is basically what they gave up in exchange for Luke Kunin from the Nashville Predators at the time of the NHL draft. Now, the 37-year-old Brent Burns, this past season, he played in all 82 games. He has one of the longest consecutive games played streaks. I think it's at like 679 right now. He had 10 goals and 44 assists for 54 points. A minus 15 rating, certainly on a non-playoff team, averaged over 26 minutes of ice time, and certainly Brent Burns is a big workhorse despite being in his late 30s now. He had 4 goals and 14 assists on the power play, so he can help quarterback that top unit or the second unit. Of course, he won the 2017 Norris Trophy, and he's also a 2-time finalist as well. Now, in terms of advanced stats, Burns wasn't actually as bad as you might think. He certainly does have his defensive lapses, likes to starfish a lot out there and dive around trying to break up plays, but nonetheless, he took 57.5% of his draws in the defensive zone 5-on-5 and had a Corsi for percentage of 44.7. So that's pretty neutral overall. However, San Jose goaltenders did have a .922 save percentage when he was on the ice. And furthermore, I will add that Burns has, in 94 playoff games, a total of 20 goals and 42 assists for 62 points. So certainly those stats become relevant when he's actually on a playoff team in the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, the Sharks had talked to a number of other partners out there. I don't know exactly who else was involved except for the Dallas Stars. That was one of those teams who look like they might be losing John Klingberg, but Klingberg had been rumored to be a team of interest, or a player of interest, for the Carolina Hurricanes. So this kind of solves one sort of end of the conundrum, if you will, between these clubs. So Hurricanes end up with a great veteran presence on their blue line, a guy who's been an alternate captain for a number of years, and a great teammate in Brent Burns. So I'm a huge San Jose Sharks fan, for those of you who don't know, and this, I think, works out quite well. I do like the Carolina Hurricanes, and we'll be cheering for them out of the Eastern Conference next season, and we wish Brent Burns all the best, certainly. But yeah, I do like that the Carolina Hurricanes have made this move. They have lost a number of players here in free agency already. They've lost Vincent Trocheck to the New York Rangers. They lost Max Domi to the Chicago Blackhawks. Tony DeAngelo, they traded to the Philadelphia Flyers. They still need to sign Martin Necas, but Cap Friendly hasn't updated just as I make this video. So the Canes will have about $13.5 million in cap space. So I don't think they're done during this free agency period. I think they'll still sign somebody out there. Maybe a guy like Ryan Strome. He still is on the table as I make this video. As for the Sharks, they have now about $13 million in cap space. That is assuming that the Evander Kane situation is resolved and that Kane does not win the grievance filing. He has recently signed with the Edmonton Oilers to extend there. But for the Sharks, they need to also upgrade at the right-handed defenseman position because right now they only have really Erik Karlsson and much less experienced Ryan Merkley in their system. So if you're looking for guys for the Sharks to target, I thought maybe a player like Ilya Lyubushkin would be a great fit, but he is signed with the Buffalo Sabres. So look for the Sharks to, make another move or two to kind of bolster the roster a little bit, even as they rebuild. And of course, the Sharks are going through some massive changes in the organization, with Mike Greer stepping in place of Doug Wilson, who stepped down. Doug Wilson Jr. parted ways with the organization director of scouting. And also, of course, the coaching staff had been laid off for the Sharks as well. Only one guy was retained there in Yevgeny Nabokov, the goaltending coach. And we'll see how he does working with A2 Mäkiniemi. I'm not entirely sure if he'll play for the Barracuda this upcoming season, but he's had a couple of good seasons in the AHL and in the Finnish Liga with Ilves. So we'll see how he pans out for the Sharks. Right now, their tandem is still James Reimer and Kaapo Kähkönen, although they also have Adin Hill still in the system as well. Anyway, guys, what do you think of this trade for the Carolina Hurricanes and the San Jose Sharks? Be sure to let me know down in the comments down below and stick around for more coverage of the Sharks, the Canes, and other teams throughout the free agency period and the offseason. So hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and keep up with me on social media. You can see information on that down in the video description down below. Maybe I'll make another video on Brent Burns or have a separate live stream really talking about his career and his impact on the Sharks. But Burnsy, San Jose still loves you. It's going to be interesting because these two teams meet in San Jose on October 14th, which is the Sharks' home opener in the States. They'll open the season in Prague. But unfortunately, even though I'll be there, I won't be able to see Brent Burns. So I will hold him in my thoughts nonetheless. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, I'm Nick, and I'll catch you Twisters later. Ciao.